Perfect. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session with Attractions Ontario. Thank you for joining us. Now, before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that the land we identify as RTO9 is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Huron-Wendat peoples. RTO9 will honor and respect the land, the people, and the treaties. We are extremely thankful for the original tour guides of these lands and all that they have shared. All those that reside, work, and play on these lands are treaty people, and we must honor the treaties in a mutually beneficial and equitable manner. With 1 in 5 Indigenous people in Canada living in Ontario, we believe working together in a mutually beneficial manner will help all Ontarians prosper through the joint development of the tourism industry. As an ally to Indigenous people and a partner of Indigenous Tourism Ontario, RTO9 will commit to improving the socioeconomic conditions of Indigenous people through tourism by creating the space for Indigenous people to tell their stories on their terms. And just a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. If you missed it, this workshop is being recorded and it will be available for viewing after today's session on the RTO9's website, which is just rto9.ca. There will be a question period at the end. So if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box, which can be done anonymously at the bottom of your screen, or put them in the chat window on the side and we'll get to them. You will receive an email following today's session. It's going to have a quick 2-minute survey link. If you're able to spare some time to review the workshop, that would be so appreciated. And now, without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to our lovely facilitator this morning, Kate March from Attractions Ontario.
Thank you so much, Meg. And hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's an honor to be here and to discuss working with social influencers. I had a question. I know I won't be able to hear your answers, but just something to think about. One of the questions I had before we started is, how many of you have worked with influencers? And if you haven't, are you unsure if working with influencers is the right choice for you? These are some of the questions that I want you to think about when going through this workshop. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so the goal for this workshop today is to create a better understanding of the benefits of working with influencers or content creators to help your business. So this is what we're going to be discussing today, and hopefully by the end of it, we have a better understanding of the value of working with content creators and influencers and why it could help your business. The objectives of this workshop is to understand why you should work with social influencers, to learn who to work with and how to promote your region or your tourism business, and to learn how to work with influencers to get the most out of your investment. So here's a quick agenda of what we're going to go through. We're going to talk about, like I mentioned, why we're working with influencer, what is an influencer, which influencer is the best for your business, how to choose the best content for your campaign, how to book an influencer, including expected costs, because sometimes there are costs involved. And we're going to talk about before, during, and after an influencer visit, what to expect and how that process works. And then at the end, I'm going to invite a couple of people from the region, including Steve from RTO9, to discuss a FAM tour that we are currently booking for Kingston and Prince Edward County. So before we start, just a little bit about me. My name is Kate March, and I work at Attractions Ontario. I have been with Attractions Ontario for the last 17 years, started as the communications coordinator, and I'm currently the director of communications. If you don't know what Attractions Ontario is, I hope you all do. Attractions Ontario, we are the authority on attractions and trip motivators in Ontario. So our goal is to market the attractions and get people in the doors of the attractions visiting. We are the voice of the industry and the source for consumers to discover Ontario's destination experiences. We want to bolster attendances and business activities. We are a nonprofit association. Our main goal is just to get people in the doors and to learn more and to love the attractions and the tourism industry in Ontario. In 2015, about 9 years ago, we started noticing that there was a lot more bloggers, or what they were calling influencers at the time, who started creating their own following, their own personal following on their own socials, and they were creating their websites and talking about, tourism industry, the tourism industry and the destinations. And we started to see a need to work with these people to help to create more awareness about our industry, and we figured using them would be a great way to do this. And we thought, let's create a program so that we can help to vet, learn more about this, and bring these people, influencers, to our members. So over the years, I've been working with RTOs and DMOs and the individual attractions in particular regions to create itineraries and to choose the best content creators to promote and highlight events or destinations. And over the past year, through experiences, through what to do, what not to do, I've learned best practices, including what to look for, how to negotiate budgets, and how to achieve not even just satisfactory results, but amazing results for our members and for the tourism industry. So how can influencers help your business? Influencers have the ability to help drive people to your destination. They have already gained their own followers. These people choose to follow them on their own accord. They are trusted. When influencers share content about your brand or your destination on their profiles, their audience tend to engage at a higher rate. And through this engagement, they may in turn begin engaging with you and your socials and start looking at your destination. Because they believe that the influencer is a trusted source. And if they like their product, they're likely to look into it more. Consumers tend to trust content and recommendations from influencers. They're seen as third-party, unbiased sources. And so as a result, influencers or content creators can have an impact on what people are choosing to do when planning their vacation destinations. But I want to get this out of the way. So you hear different names for these for influencers, or what's an influencer, what's a content creator. Is there a difference? Technically there is. Creators tend to address niche or interest-based communities. So a content creator is more known for the content that they're making, and this is a fairly, like, over the years it's become a new word that's being used. Content creators, so they are known for the content that they're making, the social media that they're producing, while influencers are more known for who they are and their overall influence. I use the word interchangeably because I do believe that influencers, they're having an influence on your business. If they're creating content, they're having an influence on your business. So throughout this workshop, you're going to hear me talking about influencers and content creators interchangeably. So how to choose the right influencer and content creator for your business. Look for content creators who match your brand's audience. This does not have to be someone with 100,000 or 1 million followers. It can be a smaller creator who speaks directly to their audience and has an active engagement. And I'll talk about engagement in a little bit. So you want to look for someone that speaks directly to your target audience. So somebody who is in the travel industry, or maybe a mom, or somebody that is the demographic that you are searching for. And there are so many different types of influencers, so you want to find the right one. So there are different types of influencers, and usually it's based on how many followers they have. So there are nano influencers, and they have between 0, 1,000 to 10,000 followers. There are micro influencers who have between 10 and 100,000 followers. Then there's the macro influencers who are 100,000 to 1 million. And then there's the mega celebrity influencers, 1 million. As I have dollar signs, I do not work with macro influencers and mega influencers because it's just a huge budget that we just don't have. But I have found that working with the micro influencers and the nano influencers can have a huge impact on your business. So that is who we're going to be focusing on. So what is a nano influencer? A nano influencer, they typically have a very engaged social media following. They typically have very good engagement. They have a very close relationship with their followers. Their followers trust them. These people take the time to cultivate these relationships. They're talking directly to their followers. And when I talk about followers, just to go back to the last slide, when you have 10,000 followers, it's on one social, like on Instagram. So if they have like 10,000 across many different socials, you want to be careful because they could have duplicate followers. So nano influencers have a very close relationship with their followers. They trust them. They're cost effective. They're a great choice for a small to mid-sized business. They're the ones that I like to work with. Because we do also have a limited marketing budget. Nano influencers tend to have specific niches, as I talked about. They tend to only work with travel, or they work with like what to do with kids. So you want to look for a nano influencer who frequently posts about topics related to your industry. I also work with micro influencers who are between the 10 and the 100,000 mark of followers. They have a high engagement, they have a targeted audience. Micro influencers tend to be specialized, so their audience is accepting of marketing messages within that niche. As I mentioned, there's that trust factor, and they trust the person that they're following, and they trust the advice that they're given. And if they're going somewhere, they think, I want to go check that out. Their audiences, as I mentioned, they trust them. They are ideal for targeting specific demographics, and they're cost effective. And most importantly, with the nano and the micro influencers, they're open to negotiation with their pricing. So choosing the right influencer. Attractions Ontario, we typically collaborate with influencers that work within the tourism industry, as I mentioned. History shows, so one of the big things is to look. So when you're choosing an influencer, make sure you really take a look at what their content is showing. And they're just looking at the history, it will show how they interact with their followers, how they showcase the their work at the Ontario attractions. Awareness, sharing content with a new audience is always helpful. So working with different influences, they all have their own followers, they all have different people. You're getting yourself out there to new people and new business. Perhaps, looking at an influencer that lives in a different part of Ontario, so they can bring people from that part of Ontario because they might have a following in Northern Ontario or in the GTA to bring them out to Eastern Ontario. Or even out of province. Influencers have already established themselves with their own audience and have already gained a level of trust. That's the kind of the theme here. They trust them. So content is key. Is their content visually appealing? I'm going to give you an example of a great Instagram. Can you see this? Hopefully you can see this. So this is the Curious Creature. This is Salmaz K. I've worked with Salmaz a few times. Actually,
We can't see it.
Can't see it?
We can't see
Oh
it.
no. Oh, what's it showing? Okay.
It's still showing your PowerPoint.
Oh no. Okay.
As I say, if you have more than one screen, you might be able to select
Here,
your screen.
I don't know how to do that.
And say if you click the share button at the bottom, it should give you options.
Okay. All right, sorry, give me a minute here. I apologize. Technical difficulties, sorry. I'm going to try and get to it, and then I'm going to see if I can share it once I open it up.
There's always a few.
Yeah. So I'm going to open this and see if I can share this with you all. Can you see it now?
We sure can.
Okay, there we go. All right, so there's a little bit of a process here to get you to see links, but I'm on it. So this is Salmaz. She is called the Curious Creature. As you can see, Salmaz has 65,000 followers, so she is considered a micro influencer, but on the higher end. She's very professional. I worked with Salmaz back in 2015 and watched as she's grown, and she has grown into an amazing influencer. And as you can see, it's just visually appealing. And these are the type of the coloring. She uses a lot of videos. So these are the types of things that you want to look for when looking at their in particular their Instagram account. As you can see, she definitely is into travel. So she is a great niche. It's a great niche that we're working with if you are looking at Salma. So these are the kind of things that you want to look at. Now let me see here if I can get back to my slide. Are we back?
We are.
Okay. So does this influencer already work within our industry? As you can see with someone like Salmaz, yes, this influencer does. So you want to research those posts, see how they're posting their content. How are they talking about the destinations that they visit? But the biggest thing, as I mentioned, is engagement. So what is the engagement of their content? This is kind of the most important part that you want to look at. Do their followers actively engage with their posts? Is there lots of likes? Is there comments? Are there reshares? Are their followers real? Unfortunately, we live in a world where people are not always honest and they are buying followers to make it look like they have a lot when they actually don't. And that's not going to be very helpful when you're working with somebody who doesn't have real followers because these people are not going to be visiting your attractions or your destination. So you want, how do you find out? How do you kind of figure out if they're real or not? Well, I definitely look at the engagement. I see, are they commenting? Are they liking? Is there reshares? These are things that people do. And another thing is, so that's how I kind of look. And if they have, like, say, 65,000 followers, they should have quite a bit of engagement. So, I'm looking between 100, 200 comments per post. That's the kind of like standard that I'd be looking at. And a lot of, like, hundreds of likes. And also, is this content creator, are they responding when people are asking them questions? Are they giving good answers? Definitely look at these things, kind of like really critique and go through the posts and make sure that you're happy with what is happening in the posts and how they're showcasing the destinations that they're promoting. Are they speaking on multiple platforms? Though I did mention that you want to make sure that they have a lot of followers on one social. Hopefully, they have lots of different platforms. They have an Instagram, they could have TikTok, they could have other socials, they could have a website. These things can be very beneficial because you could be reaching different people on different platforms through this one influencer. Um, does the influencer, oh, I talked about, yeah, are they responding? Are they talking to their followers actively? These are the types of things that I look at when I'm choosing somebody to work with. Video content, I love it. I mean, who doesn't? Everybody wants to see where they're going, right? And how better can you showcase a destination than through video? Video is highly effective form of content. Often when I'm working with influencers, we look for a reel on Instagram or a TikTok video or a YouTube short or a YouTube video because it really does showcase the destination. I want to show you. So recently, back in the summer, I worked with influencer Gabby No Canada. She is a Brazilian Canadian influencer, and we sent her and her family to the Thousand Islands to Gananoque. Now, I'm gonna show you an example. Take my word. So I know I have to. Here we go. Mommy. You're too sweet for me. I take my whiskey lead, my coffee black and my bed at 3. You're too sweet for me. You're too sweet for me. I ain't true in the grounds where I go. We're a place where I'm free from the fog. And the job gets done, but you worry some. I know, but who wants to live forever, babe? You treat your mouth as if it's heaven's gate. The rest of you like you're the TSA. I wish I think I'll take my. So as you can see from that reel, I think we can learn a lot from that. So just looking at it, if you had never been to the Thousand Islands or you've never been to Gananoque, what are some of the key things that you can learn from just watching that video? For me, I can see that it's great for kids. Not only is it beautiful, as we already know, the Thousand Islands is going to be beautiful. It can accommodate families. It can, the adventure seeker who wants to be on a helicopter. But if you weren't that kind of a person, they have beaches. There's great food. So in this short video, it's already showcasing so much just from this one reel. And as I know, working with Gabby, she loves your Gananoque, and showcasing this on video is amazing and it shows this, but then also, and I'm going to get to my next point, she does a blog, and blog content is also really great. um, this is these influencers and bloggers, some of them do have websites, and their followers are active on reading their their blog content and learning about the destinations that they're visiting. And blogs can give you a more in-depth visual and information. There's tons of information and links to you. So this is why I do like blog content. If agreed upon by the content creator, host the blog on your website. So that's something that we do. So I'll explain that. So when I work with an influencer and they create a blog post for me and they have pictures and they have links and they have lots of information on what you can do in the area, I will take a link from their website and I will put it on the Attractions Ontario website, and I'll do a little teaser so that when Attractions Ontario is promoting it on our socials, the links come to our website, and then they will kind of see all of the blogs that we have, and they'll link from our website to the influencer's website to learn more. So you're getting the traffic on your website. Content is key to any website. So the more content, the better. Sometimes I'll add a comment section so we can connect with people who are interested in the ideas. Fosters a culture of continuous learning. One of the nice things about blogs is that you can continue to post that on your socials, so it has longevity. It also can increase your website's SEO. I'm just going to give you an example of what I mean when we're posting it on our website. So about last year, I worked with Steve from RTO9, and we worked with the Traveling Mitch. And as you can see here, he went to a lot of different places in the area, but one of the blogs that he did for us was Castle Lodge Bed and Breakfast in Castleman, Ontario. So I'm going to share that. So it goes to our website, and you can see we have a photo and we have just like a little blurb here. So this is the website that I'm promoting, that we'll promote onto our socials. So people land here and then they're going to read it, and then they're going to click to the article. And I mean, look at this. There's so much information. So you know, there's photos, there's all sorts of information of things, things to look out for, things that he did while he was there. It just gives so much. I just love blog posts. Um, And at the end, so you can see there's so much, like, yeah, he did a great job. It has a link to RTO9, to Attractions Ontario. So you're also getting the traffic. So any of his followers are learning about this, if they want to learn more, they can see it. They can click to us directly. Okay, so the big question is, how do you book, and how do you book an influencer? So for me, I do not work with third party to find influencers. They will contact me, or I'll do some of my own research on our socials and find people that I think, like, I'll see what other places are working with, and I'll kind of look at the influencers that they're working with, and I'll do my own research, and then I will reach out directly to the influencer with a collaboration idea. Um, when talking to the person, I will discuss a checklist, things that we're hoping to achieve when working with them, trip details, their portion, what they're going to bring to the table, what kind of content they're going to be producing. And of course, payment. Payment is very important to talk about upfront. Please note, not all influencers require payment. You can work with an influencer strictly for content in exchange for experience, and that can be enough for them. And that's just something you need to talk about with them right up front. I will draw up a contract immediately after an agreement. And some of the ways that you can find out how well the trip was for you, like for your business, is you can ask the influencer to create a discount code. So you can see who's booking through the discount code, or you can do a contest. And this is just ways to see ROI. But you want to build a good relationship for future collaborations. So make sure that you're having a very easy flow of conversation with them, and that there's no secrets, and that they know exactly what you're expecting. You know exactly what they're creating for you, because you want to continue to work with these people over and over again. If they're doing a good job for you, they can go to different places. This is, I think, the big one is pricing. Now, this is not the all end all. This is just an idea. It kind of gives you an idea of what I usually pay when working with influencers. So for a nano influencer, You can pay nothing. It can be $0. It can be as high as $1,500. They will tell you what they charge, and it's usually it'll be like an a la carte. If you want to have an Instagram reel, it's this much. If you want to have a blog, it's this much. Um, it really all depends. Will there be a blog post that might cost an additional couple $100s? Will you have access to their photos? Will they give you rights to their photos? Will you be shared across multiple platforms? Or are you just going to be on one platform? Will you be added as a collaborator? These are the types of things that all get involved in what the price can be. With a micro influencer, again, I have worked with micro influencers where there has been no money exchange, but usually it can go from 1,000 to 6,000. And that really does depend on the person. How well is their engagement? What is the quality of their photos and videos? How quickly can they produce their content? How many days are they visiting your area? But I would, the amount of time that they're there does increase maybe how much they're going to ask for, but also how well is their engagement on their posts and how experienced are they? These are all things that can contribute to the cost. But my number one thing that I would advise is to negotiate. They're going to give you a price, but you don't have to go with that price. You can talk to them. They want to come to your destination. If they're talking to you, they're interested, and they are probably and most likely willing to work with you at your budget. So I always give a budget, and I say, this is where I'm at, and what can you give me for this? And if I'm happy with the exchange, then we tend to go ahead with the booking. Just please note that the price agreed upon in the end is rarely the same at the starting point. So work with influencers should be easy, and you want to negotiate a price that fits best for your budget. Once the agreement has been set, you want to communicate effectively about your brand. So let the influencer talk about your brand in their own way. They need to be authentic. Their followers trust them. So they don't want to be like reading off a script, because then it's going to not feel authentic. It's not going to feel trustworthy. And like I had mentioned earlier, people are following these influencers because they trust them, and they believe that where they are going and what they are saying you should check out is real, and it's what they really truly believe. For deliverables, mentioned again with the contract that you're doing, you want to make sure that you know what you are providing, and that means like the accommodations, the visiting, all of this needs to be talked up front, and what you are expecting from the influencer. And that is a blog post. Is that just a reel? Is that multiple? Is that a post? Is that stories on their Instagram account? These are all things that you need to talk about beforehand. Will you be covering their hotel, their meals? Something that can happen, make sure you always have a budget for them when they're going to the meals. Something that I know Steve and I had discussed, that we often will talk about providing a gift card at the restaurant so that there's a max budget. Because if you just give them if you just say, just go and enjoy, you never know what you're going to be at. So you kind of want to be able to budget that. So we'll do a gift card. So if they have a $200 gift card at a restaurant for them and their family, if they go above and beyond that they will pay for that. And also transportation. Are you paying for their mileage, their gas, things like that? All of this needs to be discussed ahead of time. How many days does the influencer have to provide their contact? Definitely, is it going to be, make sure you say, I need to see this content 5 days after you visit, or a week after you visit, just so they have that point. With payment, if it's not in kind, if they're a fee, you want to add that. You want to include the incidentals, as I mentioned. You want to discuss all aspects of the collaboration with transparency. There should be no secrets. You finalize the agreement terms and get it signed, and then you book it and they go, and it hopefully will go really well. While the influencer is in your destination, it's so key to provide a line of communication with them so that you can contact them directly. Anything can happen, something could be closed, or you never know what's going to happen. You want to be able to talk to them, or if they're saying something that they weren't supposed to mention, you want to be able to talk to them, like call them, speak to them while they're on site. Make sure they have your information, you have their information, so you can talk to them in real time. Make sure that they have all the handles, the hashtags, any restrictions, things that you want to highlight, discuss. All of this should be mentioned to them, if not before, while they're on site. After the influencer visit, after the content has been produced, these are things that you should look for. Did the influencer provide quality work? Are you happy with the content? Visually, was it appealing? Did they mention lots of information? Were there links? Are you happy with how your destination was showcased? Was the influencer professional? Did they provide work in a set upon time frame? Did they visit all the places laid out in the contract? I've had it, influencers that I don't work with them anymore, but I've had it when they didn't go. And, this is something that I had to keep track of, like, you want to make sure. So was your another thing, was your IG or website engaged during or shortly after the visit? Did you see an increase in your followers or your bookings? Are the places, if you're a DMO and you're working with multiple attractions or play or restaurants, are they happy with the visit? Are they happy with the content? Were they able to reshare it? If the contest or code was given, was it engaged? A good practice and something that I do is I write a brief summary of each experience. So for potential engagement in the future, so I can keep track. So I mean, I work with multiple influencers. So after each visit, I'll kind of make some notes on what I liked and should I work with this person again so that I can remember. So this is just quick, just something that I think that it might be nice for you to know is that I have worked with plenty of influencers over the years, and these are some of my favorites. Lindsay Davies from IBB Travel, she's a micro influencer, so she doesn't have a huge following on Instagram, but she's very professional. She writes amazing blogs, and she'll write blogs for us, and she's very much willing to work within your budget. Yashi Murphy, I actually worked with Ashley at Tourism Kingston. We worked with Yashi in the summer. She creates amazing work. She's very easy to deal with. I highly recommend Yashi and Gabrielle Aguisi, she's the Brazilian Canadian influencer that you guys saw her reel that she created. She's also very professional. It's really important to work with people and to enjoy working with the people that these influencers and making sure that they are professional and that you're happy with the work. So now we are at our case study. So, as I mentioned, Attractions Ontario, we work with DMOs and RTOs. And actually, in February of 2025, Attractions Ontario is working with RTO 9, Tourism Kingston, and Prince Edward County to bring two content creators to the region. And it's going to be over the Family Day weekend, February 18th to 21st. And they will be visiting Kingston and Prince Edward County. We will be featuring Kingston Licious and Frontenac in tourism in Kingston. And we don't have the details yet for Prince Edward County, but yes, thank you, Steve, for joining us. Steve is going to help kind of discuss how we chose our influencers and how we're planning this.
Thanks, Kate. I usually look to your support and your help when looking for influencers for visiting our region. We've worked with Kate now for many years, maybe the past 8 years that she and I have worked together on influencers into our region, from Yashi Murphy, as she mentioned, to Chris Mitchell was his name last year. We went to Prescott Russell and SDG. And now this year, we're working with Tourism Kingston and Prince Edward County to bring in two influencers for a girls' weekend. So, Kate, I wanted to thank you for all your great work that you do with us, and we look forward to this visit in February.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Love working with RTO 9, working with your local DMO or your RTOs. It's just a great way to bring in people. And I mean, like Steve has a very strong understanding of influencers as well. So working with him, we can kind of work together to pick, the right influencer for the region. Steve and I had discussed, it was Steve's idea to do kind of like a girls' weekend. And I thought, Salmaz is amazing, and she had suggested one of her friends who is also a really great influencer. As you can see, Ildiko Ciclodi. I just want to show you quickly one of the reasons why we went with Salmaz is I already showed you guys Salmaz and her Instagram, but I just want to show you the friend that's coming. Let me see if I can share that. Can we see that? So one of the reasons, so you see with Ildiko, she has 15,000 followers, so she's on the lower end of the micro influencer. But why we liked her is if you look at her video, if you look at her stuff, she's got a lot of engagement. So though she doesn't have a huge following, those that are following her are very active, and that's the kind of thing that you want to look for. I just wanted to show that. So Salmas has a high following, and her engagement is really good, and she's bringing in somebody who has a lesser following than her, but I mean, really, she's getting just as many comments, so she's just as good. Um, and these two, I think they're great because Salma's kind of works with travel, and Ildiko is more wellness, spa and wellness and vegetarian, and so you kind of get two different niches that we're honing in on. Um, so this is why we worked with Ashley and we worked with Lindsay to help pick these people. Um, and one of the things that Steve is this is new to me, Steve. You use Travefy, and I was hoping maybe you could discuss a little bit about travel.
Absolutely. We've purchased a platform called Travefy, which we're able to put in itinerary based focusing on attractions and visiting and timing. So we use that platform and we're able to have the influencers access in real time if changes need to be made. It's made in real time. So if they're unable to visit a place, we're able to show that on the itinerary and let people know. We can share this with the businesses as well to show the businesses what the itinerary is like. So it's a great program. We've worked with Destination Ontario through this platform as well, and this is the platform recognized for Destination Ontario. So I believe Kingston also works with this platform, and so does Prince Edward County.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. It's not something that we actually have at Attractions Ontario, but I've enjoyed seeing how it works working with you, Steve. And I think it's such a great asset, not only for us planning it, but also for the influencers who get to see what's happening. So I strongly recommend working with RTO9 with when trying to find influencers to come to your area. Steve has done this for a long time as well, and he knows what to look for and who to bring in as well. And he'll uh, and just has a really strong knowledge, and they have access to this amazing platform, Travefy. So
Okay, can you chat a little bit about the typical timing, how long you usually bring in people to the region?
So typically like for this one, we're doing 3 nights. It's not to say that that's typical. We chose 3 nights for this one because we wanted to get a lot of content for Kingston and Prince Edward County because we're doing two different places. But often when I'm working with influencers, I think when I work with you, we do tend to bring them for a little bit of a longer time, Steve.
Yes.
Do a few days because I think it really gives the influencer a chance to see a lot of the sites and to showcase the sites and to show the food. The food's amazing. So typically when working in your region, we will do multiple days, at least 2 nights, usually three, I think. Um, but that's not to say that that's necessarily what I always do. Sometimes I can, when working with attractions, if I'll just send them for one day just to visit a couple of sites or just one night. So, and that definitely does change the costs of things. So if they're only coming for one day, you could probably negotiate a lower cost. If they're coming for multiple days and you're gonna use their time for longer, you're going to have to budget a little bit more. But I do believe spending more time is the best because it gives them more opportunity to showcase everything as much as they possibly can. So I do like that when working with RTO9, we are able to do more than one night. I think it's really important.
Also find that not filling up their agenda jam-packed
Yeah.
because things shift all the time. So having a little bit of leeway is very important. Can you also talk a little bit about reporting metrics and what you expect? Um, will they provide anything to you
Yes.
directly?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, actually. So like when I work with them, especially like for example, they will have like on everybody's Instagram, if you have any of your own Instagram business accounts, it will show you the metrics. It will show you, how much it was engaged, and they can actually take screenshots of that for you and send it based on their posts or their reels. So you get an idea of how well it did for them. Don't be shy to ask for that. In fact, I would ask for that so that you can see if they have a blog post, you can see how much traffic went to their website. That's really important when doing your summary at the end to see how well and how effective they were. And that is something that we do look for.
Excellent, thank you. We also we used to work with Tartan Bond, who tracked through a platform called Dizio, anything that was posted by any influencer coming into the region, and that the breakdown would have each post and
Oh,
everything that any kind of numbers surrounding that. So that is another option to purchase again, once again, the platform to help
Absolutely.
with that.
Absolutely. I mean, understanding how effective they were once they were there is really important, especially if you're thinking to have them come back or to see if the influencer visit was worth your while.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I mean, this, as you can see, these are all the things I've learned over the years working with influencers. I really truly believe that they're an effective way of promoting and marketing your area and your destination. I encourage everybody to try it out, work with your RTO, your local DMO, or even Attractions Ontario. Attractions Ontario does have a budget, and we do work with Attractions DMOs and RTOs to help fund. So if you are a member of Attractions Ontario, that is a member benefit, but also I know Steve works with all of the area as well to help bring influencers into the region.
We have a question from Leslie from RTO9. Can you speak to collaboration posts? Is that part of the negotiation for them to post as a collaborator? And do they
Yes.
typically charge more for that?
No, I don't think that they normally do. Yes, I almost always want them to add us as a collaborator because then it's going to appear on our feed, and we can actually, and when it appears on your feed, you actually can see all the metrics as well. So that's what I like, and I mean, it's just a matter of them adding you. So I usually just include that in the contract that it should be added, and I don't typically find that they're going. I mean, you might find an influencer that wants to charge, and that's something you'd have to budget, but typically it should just be an added benefit.
Excellent. Thank you.
And there's also a question from Phil that does a higher follower count equal a better influencer?
Not necessarily. It's a good question. And as you had seen in the two, I mean, like with Ildiko, she doesn't have a huge following, but those that are following her are active and they're actively engaged. So she's worth working with because her followers, she has a larger amount of people that are engaged with her. So just because she doesn't have a huge, like massive following doesn't mean that she's not worthwhile. Sometimes you want to work with the smaller ones because as I mentioned, they have those niche, they have their followers who are, it's a niche, and so they're looking to find out what she has to say. So definitely don't be like fluff someone off because they don't have a large following. Like I had mentioned with Lindsay Davies, she only has 5,000 Instagram followers, but the content that she's creating is amazing.
Perfect. And I have another question for you, Kate. So we talked about reaching out to influencers and connecting with ones that are gonna help promote your brand. What about influencers that approach you? Because I'm sure there's lots of businesses in here in the chat and watching today that have influencers reach out to them looking to collaborate. So what is kind of your process for people reaching out to you as opposed to you reaching out to them?
Yeah, so we got a lot of people reaching out, and I look at all of them. Uh, these people they're working, it's their business, and they are hustling, and they are going to try and find lots of different places to work with. Some of them are going to be good, but I'm very picky. So I will, I'll give them a chance. I'll look at their Instagram, I'll look at their engagement, and then I kind of make my decision. And so I wouldn't necessarily say don't look, but be weary. So, because if you've never heard of them, um, look just like based on the things that I was showing, kind of look at what they're offering, read their blog posts, read their Instagram, see is it just other influencers that are commenting on their stuff, or does it look like other people that are actually, would be willing to visit are. Gotta be a little bit careful, but definitely there are some good ones that have reached out to me, and I have worked with some that have reached out to me that I didn't know about, and been really happy with the work that they produced.
Perfect. And then we have a question from Matthew that says, one, thanks for the info, Kate. Curious about what your experience with platforms to help find and curate influencers. It seems like you prefer to research it yourself, but what can others do that are strapped for time?
I don't work with platforms or I don't work with any third parties. We don't have a big budget, so I don't do it. I do it all myself. I can't really speak to how great the platforms are or how worthwhile it is. Unfortunately, just because I haven't, I would suggest that you do your research, maybe talk to other places, or maybe Steve has worked with platforms, I'm not sure, but talk to somebody that has and find out their experiences with it and see if it's worthwhile and worth the money. Because I really do believe just a little, or work, that's me because I can help, but I can't really speak to working with the platforms. I find that when I have looked at kind of the costs, it seemed really high, so they're taking a cut. So it's really if you have the budget for it, but I do believe that they probably have done their own vetting and that the ones that they are offering are probably pretty good.
And also, I'd just like to mention Destination Ontario usually contacts us directly to bring showcase people into the region. So that's a great resource as well. We have a platform that we pay into called Meltwater. Not only does it do have influencers, but it does traditional media as well. So we can pull lists for Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa. So that's something, it's a very expensive program, but we use it for other things as well. So we do have that option, or we can work with a PR firm and have in the past, like a Tartan Bond, like I mentioned.
And I was going to say one other option that Kate has kind of talked about during her presentation is reaching out to your DMO, your DMP, your RTO. If you have people that your business is getting, people coming in and asking to get featured or work with you, reach out to your DMO and see what they're doing, if they're planning anything, how you can get involved with your destination and their travel media so that you're getting involved in the community. It's not you having to take on the full cost of everything. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to collaborate with other businesses in your destination that will make it a little bit more of a full trip. And it means that you're not taking on all of the financial responsibility of bringing in one of these influencers. And there's Ashley in the comments working collaboratively with RTO9, Destination Ontario, and Attractions Ontario are great ways to vet hosted media. So send an email. It's as easy as that. Reach out, send an email, and see what people are doing and see how you can get involved.
I completely agree with that. RTO9, working with RTO, you can work with multiple different places. The influencer can come and visit multiple places, and you can be one of them. And it doesn't have to be a huge cost for you, and you will still get all of that highlight. I totally agree with you. Work with your RTO, your DMO.
Tourism really works well with partnerships. So reach out, make sure that you're getting in on things and you're working collaboratively. It's a great way to do things. I don't see any other questions coming in, Kate. We'll give it a minute, but I'm going to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for the presentation. It's great information. It's a big one that I think a lot of our operators have been interested in. And it's one of those things that anyone who's on social media always has questions about influencers, how to get them, what they're doing. So this was very informative for everybody. So thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me. I hope that you felt, the information that I had to share was helpful, and that if you were somewhat feeling overwhelmed about the influencer market, hopefully I was able to answer some of those questions. If you have any other questions, my information is here. You can email me, you can talk to Steve or Meg. Steve is also a professional when it comes to influencers. So, talk to your RTO. They have a lot of the answers as well. And again, I'm always here to help. You can email me at any time.
Perfect. So thanks so much for attending, everyone, today. Thanks, Steve, for jumping on to help with the case study. Thank you, Kate. And thank you, everyone who came to watch. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And we're going to give you 10 minutes back of your day. But if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with Kate. Write down her email here. And you can always reach out to myself or Steve as well. Anyway, I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for coming and have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Take care.